So what do you think about Klein's legacy in Alberta? Like, how many new Albertans know who Ralph Klein was, or like even understand him as a politician?
Well, I don't know if I'm the right person to talk about understanding him as a politician, but there's been so many people who have moved here over the years, and well, you have to be kind of maybe an old fogey by some standards to have seen kind of some of the Alberta cycles that have happened, and when there was a high urgent need on the fiscal level to actually cut spending a lot in the Alberta government. But a lot of people understand that he did slow the growth of government overall and cut some things. And he was kind of a tough talker. Some people like that. Kind of an everyman sort of guy. So anyone who remembers him kind of likes that style. I think they appreciate that he was fairly unique in that he did actually cut spending, which is kind of a miracle. That anyone would do that when you think about the problems nowadays.
Yeah, he was just like a reporter when he started out. He was just like, fuck it, I'm going to run. Try and stop me.
Yeah, I don't know how he started out initially. Wasn't he mayor of Calgary and then premier?
No, before he was mayor, he was a reporter. He was a city reporter.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Everybody's got a Klein story. Everybody I know that has some kind of interesting, like, great Klein story. Like,
yeah, I've heard some weird ones and some funny ones that I don't know if they're true and stuff, but I guess that's kind of... I
got a buddy who worked at the city, and Klein would come down for Christmas. He would give everybody... He would go to the print shop, and he would tell everybody to just, like, all right, you're done. You're done for the day. And he would just bring down 2 flats of beer and sit in the fucking shipping area with all the print shop guys and fucking get hammered.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well,
so will there ever, like, can there be another Klein in Alberta? Is it possible? Like,
well, there needs, like, you have to remember the debt was a big problem at that point. I guess culturally you could say, or politically in its orientation, the province was pretty different then. A lot of other Canadians have come in and kind of brought their other Canadian ideas. And I mean, there's not an appreciation for the budgetary problems, I guess, nowadays. And everyone thinks someone else has to pay for it, so no one wants to cut anything. It's hard to really imagine what it was like back then, but I remember, whereas cutting spending is so politically unpopular now, I remember, being in the car listening to talk radio and stuff when Klein was around, and he's like, I'm closing these hospitals, and he'd be on one of the interview shows like Rutherford or something. And people would be calling in and giving him hell over cutting this and cutting that. And I don't even know to what degree. I think the level of the cuts are probably highly exaggerated overall, because in the end, it still grew a lot. But he had a way of, like, kind of turning these callers around where they'd call in yelling at him, and then he'd kind of like make them see his side of the point. What do you want me to do? It seemed a lot more, it was kind of like that. And that's actually a classic negotiating trick. Like, if somebody's putting unreasonable demands on you, you say, well, like, what do you want me to do?
No, so, like, realistically, will Alberta ever see another man like that? Can it even happen? Like,
that kind of politician? I don't know.
No one likes Jason Kenney. Like, he's an unlikable fellow.
Yeah, he's pretty unlikable.
And the amount of shit that he's getting over, say, like, something as simple as, like, privatizing the parks. But it's not privatizing the parks, just the service of the parks. He's just like, go ahead.
It's like what the city does with or what a lot of cities do with their stupid city-owned golf courses.
Well, our transit system.
Yeah, it's
So they're really getting like, they're like, oh my god, he's trying to sell all of the outdoors. And I don't like him, but is this the, you don't necessarily say is this the hill you want to die on, but it's like, this is where you got to start. Like millions of dollars add up eventually, and the government is not great at this kind of stuff. People are upset because they're not gonna like they're not gonna fucking like groom the fucking cross country trails in Kananaskis or something. Like, oh my god, they're not gonna groom the trails. How am I gonna ski on the open snow? I'm not some kind of animal.
No, people just, I think, want too much, and I guess that's the tension in democracy. Some people want more, and some people don't want to pay.
But does anyone have the charisma to fucking just get away with it? It doesn't exist.
Well, if you can get elected and then just get it, like if you have a majority, what are you gonna do? Like, people can yell all day, but you could make a lot of changes. And if you're a really charismatic leader, the problem with the mob is that it's like the old it's like the couch expression, like somebody's like a couch because they have the impression of the last person who sat in them.
Yeah.
And it's like the mob is kind of like a big couch, and any leader can kind of like steer them in certain ways where they're skillful demagoguery in their leadership capabilities.
No
and
leaders.
People want a leader. Like, if you can
Why would
a lot of people just kind of want an answer provided for them, and sometimes that's unfortunate.
Do you think that the lack of kind of competent civil-minded individuals in Alberta is a direct corollary to like the lack of civic participation, and the fact that they're just kind of like, you know what, it's all fucked. Like, there's no sense of me. Like, no one has that feeling of owing Alberta anything anymore. If you kind of catch my drift.
I don't know. I'm not sure if I do.
So, like, he was just like, oh, I'm a Calgarian. Like, I'm gonna fucking like sort out Calgary because everyone's an idiot, and I'm just gonna go in there and fucking do it. Like, and
oh yeah, I think I see what you mean at the political level.
Yeah. And like the people that you would consider like competent or capable are just kind of like, why the fuck would I ever bother? Like, I'm just gonna hang out here, and like the most I might do for government is like do a government contract and make a boatload of money and say fuck it. Like, cause you're just kind of like, well, if the government exists to get ripped off, fuck it. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
And the people that are left are like, people who just want like Gibbs and 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 then on the other side you have like fucking civic nationalists. So there's no just like some guy who's just like, you know what, pay your taxes at a reasonable rate. We're not gonna fucking waste your money. Let's run this like a fucking fucking business.
Yeah, there's like no demand for that.
Yeah.
There's like no electoral demand.
So
for anything like that.
What would you do to actually, you can't create any kind of a feedback mechanism for it where it's just like the attraction of competence is not, it's like it's not there.
In the government in general?
Yeah. Like
of course.
But it's impossible for it to do it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is the longest I've gone without an Alberta Health Services controversy. The past two fucking directors like got smoked for embezzlement and like even
they've had like mini scandals here and there, but I guess all sites have been on kind of the NDP for a while, especially on any kind of conscientious government observer perspective.
Well, you just trust the other political party to watch over the current in charge political party, and it's not enough.
They don't really do a good job. They don't touch any of the stuff that really needs to be touched. Like they're talking about expense claims and like little stuff that's like, yeah, they're it's a nice little privileged class that gets little benefits and they get to expense stuff. It's, in the grand scheme of it, doesn't really matter. It's illustrative of how they...
Notley's husband's special car. He had to get an Infinity because he couldn't... Like, they had to bring it in special because he couldn't be caught dead driving a fucking Ford.
But see, like, the relationship part of it, that's an example, is also a lot more interesting. Notley obviously was a labor lawyer. And she was kind of like a union weapon. And her husband obviously has his own union connections of some importance. And you think like, oh, these people just kind of hang out together. They influence each other. They talk to each other. I think that's all pretty important. And I think anyone who basically wants kind of more what we want, they don't really have the ear of anybody at that level the way some of these other connections do. Like, so we can't get the corrupt government to do anything for us. And we don't have a guy like Klein who basically has some strange, like, just idiot savant.
Just machismo. That's...
but I don't think he was an ideological person.
He was an absolute pragmatist. But, guided by a core set of principles that everyone could kind of understand where he was coming from.
Well, it seemed kind of like a regular common sense sort of thing.
Would you call him folksy?
Yeah, I guess he is sort of a folksy politician. He had a certain folksy charm, in which, of course, a lot of people don't like that. But I don't know. I just can't believe that he actually cut a lot, and they didn't really have a choice because interest rates, they were probably paying like 9, 10, 11% on big debts relative to their size, and it's remarkable that it was paid off. And
do you think that
the government was expensive?
Yeah.
But it wasn't as big, and it seemed a little less in your face, I guess. Taxes were a little lower, and all those advantages kind of pile up.
Do you think that new Calgarians will ever understand that era of Calgary?
No.
Like the Petroleum Club.
Like stuff like the 70s and the 80s and even the 90s, some of the crazy stuff.
Do you think they'll ever, they're like, oh shit, a guy jumped off this fucking building?
Yeah, that happened a lot.
Yeah. Like they'll never...
But you don't hear about that anymore. I think that's taboo to talk about on the news when something like that happens. Or maybe people probably just don't do that anymore. They probably want to have a more private self-termination.
I don't know. Maybe they're all fucked up on coke or so. But there was enough that it became like a thing.
Yeah, I guess.
I didn't get here till
that's an ugly way to go.
Yeah, I didn't get here till 2003 or 4, and by then the dark times were over.
Yeah, the early 90s, there was messed up stuff happening, I remember. And even when you're really young and you don't totally get what's going on, there's certain kind of atmosphere that you're aware of.
Yeah.
And
is it just hushed conversations between parents?
Yeah, stuff like that. And tension.
Or your friends.
You can feel when times are good and times are bad, in the... on an economic dimension, on an intuitive level.
Yeah.
Even though you don't really get it. You don't know how to pay a mortgage payment.
Well, no, but you would have friends that maybe are in a specific area, and then all of a sudden their parents have to move, and they're like, are you moving away? And you're just to the other side of the city.
Oh, yeah, but all that seemed really random and mysterious to me when I was really young. When people had to move, or I didn't understand why some people lived some places and other people lived others. I thought it was mostly luck. I didn't really understand like how money was made and
Yeah.
richer and poorer. Like it all seemed very random.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That stuff's pretty interesting to think about as a young person.
So, like, I do feel, I remember, so I recently had to have a conversation about employment and future and stuff like that, which I never really think about all that much. And somebody said to me, why are you, like, why are you, like, just go and fucking, like, work on these other things, or, like, and I don't know, like, I feel like I owe Alberta something. And, like, because, like, New Brunswick, I was born in New Brunswick. I lived in New Brunswick for fucking 22 years. I don't owe a fucking thing. Maybe Frank McKenna's, like, higher education policy helped me get through school cheaply. I guess, But, I don't know. I just have that indebtedness to the West, and people transplant that onto a national level. I think they go, oh, I love Canada. Like, I owe Canada. Or this is the land of opportunity.
America, the land of opportunity.
Yeah, it's like you're not going to get that in fucking Saskatchewan, dude.
Well, I think it's a combination of, I don't know, maybe an appreciation for, because Alberta, like, for opportunity outperformed, and especially for, like, average Joes and stuff, like
so the literal metric of economic mobility.
Yeah, it was really top of its class for Canada for so long.
Huge per
and a
capita
lot of people,
millionaires.
I guess that makes you feel a certain, maybe gratitude is too strong a word, but something like that. But also, when then you kind of think about the attachment that some people develop, and then you think, like, how people favor the underdog, and then they see their friend or their home kind of under attack in a certain sense, when you've got almost an embargo on your homeland, or your adopted homeland. And I guess it's just those natural instincts that you want to protect whatever you think is your home, so to speak.
Yeah.
And some people kind of define it as its own separate thing.
Because I know a lot of newfies that, like, things kind of turned a little bad here, and they just kind of fucking tapped.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, you are fucking rich because of this province and the opportunities that you had there, and you don't. But they were like, oh yeah, that's nice, but none of them, it didn't seem like a lot of them picked up the concept or idea of the Western identity. Because
I guess so.
It was too ephemeral. It wasn't fucking hammered, because there was no, like, the shared culture or values that they had was just like,
it's this weird,
fuck it, make money, do coke, and
it is a thing, and it's easy to kind of
buy a couple skidoos, like that. What else was there for them to know?
It's a very phantom kind of concept, and it's like you can't really grasp it on its own, but you see it in people who really just get attached. Like you said, some people kind of came out for a little while and then left when after a few years. But a lot of people, I've talked to so many who are like, oh yeah, it feels different out here.
Yeah.
And I've heard that from a lot of different people, whether they're from other parts of Canada or whether they're from, like, totally different country, like some Iraqi or from India or something. Sometimes people, because a lot of new Canadians, so to speak, start out east somehow.
Yeah.
And then some of them wind up out here. And I've talked to a lot of them, and they say it feels different. And I like that. And it's one of those ineffable things. You can't really nail what it is, but people talk about it, and they kind of have a shared sense that they know what the other person is referring to. And it's that strange Western.
Yeah, but if you can't
Western
codify
aspect.
it just kind of turns into this weird, like, mass delusion. They're like, oh, doesn't it feel like it's a different timeline right now?
No, but it's...
Didn't the world split in 2008 or 2004? Now we're in the Berenstein Bears universe.
No, it's more like, it's kind of like weird manners or etiquette. Like, we have these rules and we don't even know what the justification for them was.
Okay.
But they're kind of like we use them and they feel right in a certain way.
Like
so
having a beer at lunch.
I guess maybe. But
You can't do it anywhere else.
But for the
Completely
Western
acceptable here.
the same thing for the Western thing. Like, sometimes there's a meaningful idea. It's just very hard to articulate, especially for the common man. And I'm no like technical philosopher person. So I might not have the words and stuff, but I think, we come in contact with that transcendent or sacred aspect of life in many senses. And some people, attach it to a nation or a place, and that can be good or bad. Can come out in different ways. But I think there is like a Western thing, or at least an Alberta thing.
But like,
or at least
but if you say like, oh, it's an Alberta thing, if we go like 100 clicks just into Manitoba, like, what fucking changed?
That's a good question. Now, there is that whole thing with
You've been to Lloydminster, haven't you? It's a little spooky.
Yeah, and I'm kind of speaking specifically from a sort of maybe a certain classification of Albertan perspective, because we've got a lot of different little things going on here. But I don't know what the common theme is necessarily. And I don't know where the cutoff point is between some of the other prairie things. And even in like a lot of interior BC, there's a lot of cultural similarity with what I think of as the West or the Albertan.
When we get out of here, we're just going to take that one fucking county with us. That's it.
Yeah, and there's the book that talks about the tribes of North America, and it breaks down to like 11 or 13 different kind of distinct cultures, and they cross over the actual national boundaries in places. So you've got Cascadia, which is parts of British Columbia basically, and then down through the northwestern states, like, so they call that like a distinct little subculture. And then the prairies and different ones, New England and stuff. So we would be kind of categorized more with certain prairie-ness there. But Manitoba, like, I don't know where Manitoba fits in. Yeah. Like, what is going on in Manitoba?
I don't know.
Winnipeg? Does anyone move to Winnipeg? Not from somewhere else in Manitoba.
No.
But from elsewhere in the country, or from outside of Canada.
I don't know where he lived originally, but he was in Calgary for a couple years.
And he moved to Winnipeg?
He moved to fucking Winnipeg.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. He was playing in a band, and then he started working for this other company, and then he was just like, Winnipeg, it's not so bad.
See, I know a lot of people who are from Winnipeg. Or not a lot, but I've got two compadres. That's enough. That's a lot.
That's like 1%.
That's like two people. 1% of the population.
Yeah.
But they go back to Winnipeg, and they mostly dunk on it.
Okay.
And they say it sucks. They say it used to be like, the Chicago or whatever. Like, it was hot. Okay. It was hot in Winnipeg at one point. And that was Western Canada, basically, at one point. That was where all the action was.
Well, there was a little bit of a resurgence for Saskatchewan here not too long ago.
Yeah, well, they've fared pretty well by, I guess, cleaning up some aspects.
Well, they got a good prime minister, or premier.
Yeah, it's hard to get good premiers. But yeah, Manitoba, like, I don't get the Manitoba thing. Obviously, transportation, mining.
I don't know. what's so as ethereal as what it is to be Albertan. It seems because we're in Alberta, or specifically Calgary in Alberta, it seems that much more tangible compared to trying to like imagine what it is to be from Winnipeg and like what it is to identify as Winnipeg as a people. Or like, oh yeah, I'm from Manitoba. Like, we have this long tradition of, or we have these core values that are X. Like it's probably
Yeah, isn't it
just as
hard to
define.
kind of? Yeah, it is. It is hard to define that, and it's like
Does that? But because of
it's
that,
easy to define it around a political boundary because someone draws a line, and if you're in the line, and if you're
yeah,
pro what is in the line or in favor of it, or that's your team,
yeah.
then I guess that's easy to define.
But the reason why I
But
bring up,
anything that's like not in the lines on the map can be pretty hard to describe because people can associate themselves.
the reason why I bring up culture and values is because that's the core of kind of the Quebec secession. It's, you know, they're like, oh, not only do we speak a different language, that we, you know, kind of enforce and pass a law, we have this set of values. Even if that value is like, you know, fuck off Anglo, like you're not, well, like rightfully so. Like they, you know, the Anglos took over fucking Montreal for a while, and they were like, just get the fuck out. So very slowly they brought the numbers back, and they were just like, you guys aren't, you're not us anymore.
So there was that a few politicians put out that Buffalo Declaration thing recently, and one of their points was they wanted Alberta to be recognized as like culturally distinct, which I think has some sort of maybe not constitutional meaning, but it has like a
for the purposes of
some based on some Supreme Court decision or some legal thing
from the 80s,
yeah.
Under
So
Trudeau the senior.
And I don't know. I think that's an interesting idea, and I'd like there to be something concrete to that instead of the touchy-feely kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As much as I can say, like, oh, I feel that touchy-feely ghost stuff.
Do you like the outdoors?
That phantom spirit stuff.
Do you like the outdoors and hate the state?
Yeah. It's not that easy to, I guess.
You can't codify it. That's why it's doomed to fail. I think that's why.
Yeah, so I wonder what they had in mind when they put that in their declaration.
Yeah.
I think it'd be sweet if we had a country called Buffalo.
Yeah.
The new country should be called Buffalo. Like Alberta, that's like some lady's name. Like, what is Alberta? Hey, Alberta, how are you? This is my sister, Alberta.
It's a place where the prairies stop and the mountains start. Like, it is.
But wouldn't you rather live in a place called Buffalo?
I don't know. How about Ancapistan?
There's cities called Buffalo.
Yeah.
There's hockey teams.
Ancapistan.
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 I would live there.
So, maybe one that's a little easier. So, I have to ask, because we don't, like the Canadian Libertarian Party or any kind of right-wing party or it's non-existent. Like, it's trash. You know, like there's the Rhinoceros Party is probably the most
it's like a joke
popular
party, or I guess they're all kind of joke parties, but I mean, are you talking about like a specifically right-wing party or a smaller government libertarian type party?
Well, it's because I can relate left-wing fringe groups to a very clear, specific goal. And if you were to look at the Rhino Party, for example, they're just like, this is an absolute fucking, like, we're literally doing a tribute to Cheech and Chong trying to run a political party. And they do some hilarious stuff, like run Maxime Bernier in Maxime Bernier's rally.
That was pretty funny.
Fucking brilliant.
Like, somebody should do that for like a Justin Trudeau. Somebody like, that would be really amusing.
Yeah, they should.
And I want some entertainment for my money.
So their goal is achieved. They've accomplished what they wanted to do, which is maybe highlight the absurdity of something. But there's no there's some Western style parties or right of center parties that are, still in limbo. Like, people kind of put some hopes and dreams on the Wild Rose Party as a provincial party that could potentially become a federal party like the Bloc.
Well, I think
to give Alberta at least some kind of voice on the federal stage, and it just won't ever happen.
Well, there's the federal and the provincial thing, and I think it would be a lot better to have
A provincial party that runs at a federal level.
Basically,
I think the Bloc is the model.
Like Wild Rose, for example, like say you're interested in the independence issue. Wild Rose like purged all the independent, like Alberta separatist types, which, it's kind of come as gone as a thing, but there's been some people more or less dedicated to it over time. But I think that would be the key, like us.
They have the Western Secession Party or something.
Because Alberta can't get like a federal party. That's what a lot of the big mistake is. Some of these, it's really unfortunate, but of course a lot of, a lot of big groups get drawn to things like, say, a Western independence or Western separatist kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I guess strategically they're a little weak. And so people are like, well, we need like a federal party. Mm-hmm. That's probably a huge mistake at this point. Yeah. If you can't even get somebody elected like for city councilor in Calgary or something, or Edmonton, if you can't even get like an MLA elected, how are you gonna mean squat and at the federal level when Alberta already counts for like less than a square of toilet paper or something? So what was the question? What are we talking about?
Well, the reason why I bring that up is I wanted to draw attention to the Libertarian Party in America, and the fact that they fucking tolerate that fucking guy who wears a rubber boot on his head. Like, he gets to have just as much fucking say.
What do you mean? Is it that wizard-looking guy?
Yeah, that fucking
the Vermin Supreme guy.
Vermin Supreme guy. He gets up there and he makes a speech every fucking time, and all those fucking douchebags sit around and like, yeah, we're all about liberty. And it's like, this guy's fucking, he's wearing a rubber boot on his fucking head.
So you've got, your respectable, like, say, your TV type people.
Yeah.
For, I guess, the small government or the right, if you want to bring that into it.
You remember how everyone...
They're severely lacking. It's basically a huge deficit of good quality humanity.
Yeah.
And...
No, they tolerate it. Because they're fucking schmucks.
No, they're loving it. They're like, ooh, laughing it up and...
Yeah, no, like, this is... What they're just trying to bring about political change for fun? Or like what?
I just don't get that kind of stuff. It's pretty disappointing.
Remember that video?
I don't know what the inside scoop is like on Libertarian Party scene. I don't think they have as many comical characters. I think maybe they're a little more serious.
He will always be the face of the Libertarian Party to me because he's a fucking...
Who, that American guy?
Yeah, Vermin Supreme.
Or what about the other notorious guy who stripped naked on stage and was like dancing or something like that? That's guy. Just awful.
And you know what? No one fucking physically removed him, so to speak. Like, he was just like, yeah, I'm part of the party, guys. Come on.
I hate to say it, like, that's another thing. Like, if you guys can't get your school board election or your freaking county elections and stuff, it's just like federally seems so hopeless up against that kind of machine. Same thing in the States though. Like, you can see why if you do want to go for that like big federal level, you can see why people do want to work within one of the main parties. Like, you've got, say, the somewhat more hard left types in the Democratic Party, and they create some tension with the more moderate types. And then in the Republican Party, anyone who's supposedly trying to do something small government-ish or something, if you wanted to do that, where there was significant reduction in government power is your end game. That's maybe tough in some ways on the Republic or on the Democratic Party because they're weaker on economics.
Yeah, but they're very clearly different from that fucking Communist Party where they're like, yeah, you got to use pronouns and personal point of privilege and.
Oh yeah,
like
but
that's easy to separate them.
And
like,
these
these
like none of that stuff really, I think, affects much of anything in kind of the way the systems work now. And that's why people want to go inside the main system. So if somebody's like, well, I'm going to change the system, or I'm going to use the Conservative Party to do it, or I'm going to use the Republican Party to do it, you can see the appeal when your other option is to join like a fringe party. Like, you're not going to change the big fossilized, like, beast corrupt parties.
Do you talk to
But you're not going to have any leverage for anything if you're running for like a 1%er party.
Did you talk to anyone who's run for the People's Party?
Oh yeah, tons of them.
And?
Well, the people I personally knew were pretty normal and like successful regular people.
I only met one.
And a lot of the people I knew who wound up trying to go for the People's Party and were later disillusioned were like came from a more libertarianish background, like either Libertarian Party specifically or small government libertarian-ish stuff was what they were interested in, or more conservative than the conservatives. And that stuff kind of fizzled out as it went.
When they realized
the people I knew, they were pretty. Yeah, the people I knew were, pretty normal. I would call leaning libertarian types.
Mm-hmm. Small L.
And they thought Maxime Bernier earlier on was more of a
dude. His first fucking campaign ad, I was like, dude, this guy.
He started off pretty good.
Fuck yeah, dude. He was like, I believe in accountability and responsibility. And
then, so of course they got smeared a lot. But the problem is, there's a human capital problem again, and there's like a media treatment issue, but human capital problem, because if you're the only party who says like, oh well, we'll reduce immigration a bit or something, like if you're the reducers, then basically anyone who wants to reduce it, including like weirdos, are gonna kind of like show up and participate. Yeah. And then you might get smeared with their association, even if you're not a crazy person.
Well, that was all.
But that's what happened. A lot of like weirdos got like associated with them in a lot of ways.
That got fucked up because Bernier decided halfway into his goddamn fucking campaign that he wanted to be a fucking populist.
Well, and I can see how that can cut both ways, because
you try to run
liberty is not always a populist idea, but I think he kind of took it the other way, where it was like any populist kooky idea almost necessarily gravitated towards it. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think? Like, what do you think? You say he went wrong when he became a populist or something, or that was the
angle? My personal kind of story with Bernier was just like, I watched that first thing and I was like, man, this guy's it. He's gonna fucking wreck these dudes. And that was before he actually formed the party. It was when he was running for the leadership of the party. Yeah,
that was when he
that was
picked up a lot. He was an interesting competitor.
Prime Bernier.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good.
Young, fucking good looking, running marathons, French. Talking about fucking electable.
Electable. He had some kind of new ideas that younger people could get on board with, at least to. Basically, the average Conservative Party member is like 75.
Yeah.
No disrespect, but it's just a little old school.
Yeah.
And they're a little behind the times on, I guess, late millennial right winger scene.
The trad zoomers.
Trad zoomer. Boomer zoomer.
Yeah. No, the 20-year-old boomer. But
but yeah, that now there's a conservative race happening right now.
It's a joke. But anyway, so he got fucked. Everyone knows he got fucked. Fucking Sheer walks out there, drinks a fucking carton of milk. Like
that was an amazing performance.
Yeah, we all know what happened.
Scene.
Yeah, and he basically just said, "Yeah, this is exactly what happened."
Yeah,
so
amazing.
He takes a sip like he's like cheeky. And, like, we're all in on the joke and, like, you know, fuck that guy.
Yeah,
so he gets upset. He's still in the party. He gets upset. He's like, oh, fuck, they fucked me.
There was two things that happened, but I forget what one of them was. One thing he said, like, radical multiculturalism or something like that.
He got it, yes. He said radical multiculturalism.
I don't know if those were the exact words.
Something like that. Some reporter fucking gaffled onto that, and he decided to stand his ground on it and just get in this big Twitter brawl over it. Like, just like, dude, what are you doing? Come on. Like, you're not gonna win this no matter what. Just be like, look, I stand by what I said. If you want to sit down and have a fucking discussion about it, fine. But I'm not gonna explain my shit in 144 characters. Get fucked.
So anyway, he didn't get like booted out of his shadow critic position, or I'm all fuzzy on the history. Let
me finish.
A few years ago now.
I have this all lined out. So he's in there in an official position. I forget exactly what it was, and he decides to write a fucking book about how the Conservative Party fucked him.
Oh yeah, the book.
Yeah,
I remember the book.
So he goes to put out this book, and they pull him into a fucking meeting. And they go, what the fuck are you doing? Clearly, like, look, you gotta put the party before, blah, blah, blah. And this fucking cuck, okay, he goes, you know what? The book about you fucking me over. Not only did I fucking stay, I'm gonna stop fucking printing the book.
Yes, I remember that.
So, okay, fine. Like, maybe at that point you're just like, look, I want to be done with this. Shear's gonna fucking lose. He's a loser. I'm gonna take my crack at this in fucking 4 years.
So are you saying there was one more thing?
There was another thing. So
hang on. So there was the radical multicultural thing later. Already happened, or that happened later?
Later. So he, I'm pretty sure it happens later. He then sits and gets something happens with his publisher. So, like, basically when he decided not to publish that book, I was off the train. I'm like, I'm done here. Okay, you got fucked, and now you're literally putting the interest of the party above what is right. Publish your fucking book. It's your fucking story, dude. If you got fucked, let them know. If you want to stay in the Conservative Party, that's your fucking call. But to sit here and have someone like tell you like, oh, it's bad for the like, fuck you. Like, if I walk into your house and fucking kick your dog, and then you go to call the cops and go like, look, it's not good for the neighborhood. Like, we can't have animal cruelty crime statistics in this fucking neighborhood. It fucks with the, like, we're never gonna make the best neighborhood if we fucking have this on the fucking books. So look, just don't report me, and I'll make sure you get some extra gruel in the fucking lunch line. And
well, it would have been nice.
So anyways,
so was there another thing?
Yeah, so then he gets demoted.
Yeah.
Or don't. So the publisher, he says, I'm not going to fucking publish it. The publisher puts out the first chapter for free on their website.
Oh, yeah, okay.
They see this as him fucking reneging. They punch him down right away. Appointed to shadow cabinet. Then the fucking radical multiculturalism happens. He becomes a liability. And then it all devolves from there.
Yeah. Comes back, starts his party. People are like, oh, interesting. This could be cool. Or this could be interesting. Or this could be... I think it would have been interesting to have like an equivalent of the federal NDP on the other side.
It looked really good because if you remember what was going on there, you had New Brunswick go conservative, you had Quebec go conservative, you had Ontario
there
go
was a
conservative.
big streak going on.
Alberta
And
flipped
it
back.
made people, and even on a bigger global scale, you've had a lot of situations where it seems like aspects of the more leftist liberal position have been getting discredited. Like you got some European and UK examples, and you got your whole American situation, and it seemed like everyone who goes up against somebody who's got a carbon tax is winning because nobody likes the carbon taxes and blah blah blah. It should have been. It's
just called
and then you're up against probably the weakest opponent you could imagine. You're up against
a beleaguered Justin Trudeau,
Prime Minister triple blackface, SNC Lavalin,
a wet noodle fucking sheer. Giving homies pounds in the fucking in his commercial, like he's like, I'm gonna sheer, like, dude, you're yeah, you saw, remember that his fucking,
the one where he's walking through the park. It
yeah.
just made me ill. I couldn't believe it was real.
Man, you were creepy as shit.
It was creepy the way he walks, and he has a weird body shape. I know that's not
maybe it's just
nice to say necessarily, but he has a weird body, and the way he walks is weird. He's like a weird Humpty Dumpty kind of guy.
Yeah.
And when he's in a suit, it's kind of concealed.
It's not
when he's standing in question period, like, oh, Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very impressive, Mr. Scheer.
Yeah.
But then you put him in like weekend clothes and send him walking down a path in the park
in a Roots hoodie. You're just kind of like, what a beast.
Oh, it was so painful. He was so lame, and he's like. It was always like in question period. He was like, "Oh, look how clever I'm gonna slip a little joke in here, and my buddies around me are gonna laugh." It's like just corny jokes, and there was nothing to the guy. He was so lame.
Even when the Conservative Party was like kind of going up during that question period, you could tell whatever he had was ready to go. It was most of his opening stuff was ready to go, and then the only thing that Scheer did was make me really appreciate Rempel.
In what way?
Well, because anytime Scheer couldn't touch a certain subject, he'd send Rempel up to bat.
Oh yeah,
and she just fucking nailed it.
Yeah, she doesn't come across as I don't know, threatening. Is that the word? Or hostile?
Yeah,
she
had my vote the second she was like censored.
She's relatively popular, I guess, amongst the party people.
She's the MLA for my district or whatever, a riding. So I
wasn't she on Buffalo Declaration? I think she was the one.
I don't know. All I know
federal MP who was on it.
Maybe,
unless I'm mistaken. I could be wrong. But when she was on that, for the first time, I said, "Oh, well, that's nice, maybe." And she, has some nice things to say in our favor against our hostile federal government. But, she's not really hardcore. I think she's probably reined in to some degree if you believe she's more hardcore than she lets on.
I think she's a weapon. She gets deployed.
I think she's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just so anyway, there is an election thing going on now. Conservative Party. There's no Maxime Bernier in there.
No one fucking
cares at all.
No one wants to hang out with people.
Back when Maxime Bernier was cool,
the
leadership race was interesting.
Yeah.
And remember, you had the billionaire, or not? Maybe he's not a billionaire. Lowry. Why am I having problems with names today?
I don't know.
O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary, remember?
Yeah.
And he dropped out and then endorsed Bernie. But he's a character. He's kind of like, he seemed relatively anti-war in certain statements, which I thought was interesting. But anyway, so you had two interesting characters.
Oh, you don't want a seat on the Security Council?
You had Bernier and O'Leary. That's not without not endorsing O'Leary or anything. Maxime Bernier's ideas were probably better overall, more interesting, and more like kind of broadly focused than just the businessman running for. But and then you had a bunch of lamers, like no one cared, and one of the lamers won. Scheer, the lamer. Who no one cared about, I'm pretty sure. But now you got nothing interesting. And it's basically a bunch of like Easterners. And I mean, I would say I think it'd be great if some of the Albertans could get over the whole anti-French thing, and you got a really good, charismatic, persuasive, maybe more old school, so to speak, conservative.
We need a statesman
as a leader of the party, because the French thing counts.
Yeah.
But a lot of Albertans say, like, I would never vote for a French politician.
Really?
I think they would.
No,
because they always say, I'm done. And they're
way.
always back. They're always back.
Yeah, they're like fucking beat.
Last election, when like a lot of them were like, I'm done with the Conservative Party. Yeah. But now they're getting all excited, especially because they've got like a base black chick for one of their candidates. And that's a super cynical thing to say.
Base black chick. She's like only in favor of moderate increases to something.
No, it's like that's kind of a thing with well, basically everyone. Like everyone wants their token. It's people aren't really appreciated for what they have to offer.
Look about this personified whataboutism.
Yeah. But so they have a Peter MacKay, who's basically trash.
Tell me 3 things about Peter MacKay.
Peter MacKay he's basically a lawyer. He's a former prosecutor, so garbage. And he was defense minister, I think, for a little while, or finance minister, or both. I might be mixed up.
Okay.
We need researchers. No. But and then you've got what's his name? The not Austin Peterson something. He's like a businessman guy. I
literally have paid 0.
He's an investment guy.
Yeah.
He's like boring. No one cares. He like if it's the same as last time, because I went to one of his like fundraiser things because I was invited. I wasn't.
Come on.
I'm not. Yeah. I'm not really into the whole like leadership.
Take my money.
But well, no, people were razzing him because his ideas were kind of lame. He wanted to eliminate, so basically electoral dead ends. Like, I want to eliminate the corporate income tax, jack up the GST, but then he said he would reduce the income tax for everybody. But it's like, that's a tough sell because people want like the rich to pay and all that. And I'm just talking about the voter attractiveness amongst, you know, the mob and the rabble. So
what do you need all those things for? Give me some of it.
So he's in it again too. There's the Aaron O'Toole guy. He ran last time. I don't know what he thinks. They all say defund the CBC, at least until they win the leadership, and then they need CBC to be nice to them.
Yeah.
But MacKay, the only distinctive thing about him is he deleted like a tweet like one day after he announced his campaign.
Didn't he basically just go like nice and then deleted something?
Yeah, when some Albertans tore down one of the rail blockades, like,
and he couldn't stand
quote unquote vigilante justice.
He couldn't even stand behind that.
Yeah, he couldn't stand behind that. He tore it down and then like denounced vigilante justice the next day. So that was pretty funny. A lot of people think he's lame for that. They have the lawyer from Toronto, the so-called like based black chick.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't really know much about what she thinks about stuff. I think there's another guy who's like trying to get his application finalized. He might be like another big businessman kind of guy, but not a semi-celebrity like O'Leary. And then they've got that lady who seems like just a mom or something. I don't know. She's
dude, that's what a sad fucking party, dude.
There's nothing. Peter MacKay's gonna go in. He's gonna win. Yeah. Just by default.
He's fucking anointed.
He is anointed. He's the designated loser, and that's what he's going in there for.
He's gonna
but he's talking tough now. He says, "By fall, we'll be ready to take down the government." It's like, as long as they got the money flowing.
Scheer
the
was
NDP
real
and Bloc
fucking
won't take
smug
them down.
about filing his fucking vote of confidence that he never pulled the trigger.
Well, I don't know.
It's on the books now, so we can do it at any time.
Oh
we
yeah,
want.
like that's
the
lame.
fucking sword of Damocles over your head, Trudeau.
It's like a PDF template.
Fucking
Like you
hell.
print, it's always ready.
It's tabled. I'm serious. Like we're talking about it at some point.
I can print it off my phone
I can
on the Wi-Fi.
I can attach it to any bill. Like fuck you.
So yeah, Canadian politics.
Trash.
So Canadian leader, that's like federal politics is basically hopeless from the standpoint of anyone who's in who like wants the shackles of Ottawa tossed off out in the West.
Yeah.
And the mistake, like every last election, 2019, everyone had their hopes riding. Like, Scheer sucks, but hopefully it works out. It didn't.
Of course.
And they're like, I'm done with the Conservatives.
Fuck this. Of course.
And
now they're like,
okay, one more chance because Peter McKay, like
he's got some
he's
interesting
qualified.
He's got some interesting ideas.
Highly qualified.
It's really going to turn this party around.
No, but it's just like it's all. I could say bad things about Harper all day long, but he did bring about some
Come on.
direction, I guess, in things. Like he
Really?
wrangled something together in
Okay,
one.
okay.
That's basically all I'm
right.
saying.
All right.
Like everyone's like, oh, it's unfair. That's why Scheer lost. It's like, well, it's always going to be unfair. Can you win or not?
Yeah.
And Harper was
the
basically can't stand Harper, but somehow he won
Mhm.
and he kept it sorted together for a while,
Okay.
much to the detriment of Canada because I think he, ultimately powered up Ottawa a lot, but maybe not as much in the aftermath of the Great Recession as many of our peer nations did. Like a lot of governments grew a lot faster in response to the crisis than Canada did, and that's good.
Yeah.
He did increase overall size quite a lot, and that's bad. But he, he fiddled at the knobs and stuff. But putting all that aside, like he's generally quite bad.
Name a
But
single year
won.
that he had a balanced budget. Go.
I think it was only the first
No.
one.
No.
I don't know.
The last one. He cooked the books. Just like, oh yeah, no, we totally earned this.
Didn't
kind
they
of
have a? I don't remember.
No, he didn't
but
run
I
a
thought,
single-
I thought they had a surplus for a year.
No,
or two. I don't
not
know.
a single fucking.
Not
year.
even in like 2006 when times were like
No.
pumping.
No, not once.
I'm not
Like,
surprised.
I think the last year,
Did you wish we could go back to Chrétien?
a little bit.
Like Chrétien, who, if you stack him up alongside Trudeau, he seems.
Dude, he just seems innocent. Even though he's a fucking killer. Like, he is an absolute killer. Like,
He's a sleazy politician.
Yeah, and he's a fucking weapon. You saw the Lavalin. I showed you that Lavalin. Or not Lavalin, fucking. The fucking sponsorship scandal. He got hauled into that one, him and Martin. Martin just basically was like, it was all his idea. It was all him. And they asked him about the fucking. They're like, didn't you like meet with this other guy who like signed your golf ball? And he's like, oh, okay. So he gets into this fucking room with this fucking chump asking him questions. He's like, yeah, you can understand why there's a sponsorship scandal. Apparently, you had these tailored or custom golf balls from these fucking sponsors and this thing. And he goes, oh, yeah, the one I had him sign? Oh, that's, yeah, no. Lucky for you, I brought my collection. And he pulls out this fucking tray of golf balls. And he goes, oh, there's a golf ball. Yeah, look, oh, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton signed this golf ball.
I haven't seen any of that.
Dude, he put it back down. And he goes like, oh yeah, I'll check that one out. It's a fucking, like fucking Barack Obama or fucking, some other famous fucking guy. And he goes, okay, I get your point. And he goes, I'm not done. He pulls out another golf ball and like he goes through the whole fucking list. He's like, it means nothing. Go fuck yourself.
That's pretty funny, but.
Yeah. The Shawinigan handshake. Like,
I should go back and look at some of that stuff. I kind of forget a lot of the highlights back in the day, back in those old school scandals.
Oh, dude, knocking some dude out with a fucking wooden duck.
Chrétien, man.
Yeah.
But he what was the statistic? He increased spending at the slowest rate of like the last, several governments.
A liberal.
Yeah, and he was like, but again, that kind of relates to the whole Klein thing too. Forced by necessity, interest rates were a lot higher. Debt was very high.
Thank God.
And it was very expensive. It was very difficult for your budget when, Chrétien was in power for a long time, or the Liberals of Chrétien, well, a little bit of Martin, I guess, in the end. But they grew things, relatively slowly.
Yeah.
Which isn't that slowly. But it's just amazing that it's even on the table, because we can't think of it that way. All we can hear about now is like, debt is so cheap, it makes the most sense for the government to go into debt. It's like, no,
don't do it.
No, and Ottawa is just spending money like crazy now because there's no real sanction. Like it's relatively cheap to pay it, and again, interest rates are going down now in fear. What's going to be cheap?
We just cut another half point, yeah.
Cheap, reliable debt. But if investors are worried, they want to lock in their rates of return. Go check out some government bonds. Government of Alberta, government of Canada, government of Ontario.
Let's go get some -1 bonds because it's safe. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah, but
I know you're like, oh no, it makes sense. No, it's fucking retarded.
But there's such a downward pressure on the rates, and unfortunately, the government is able to just like pile up because they think, the rates are low, and a lot of it, one of the big problems is if the point comes where that turns around sharply. And I've become so much more focused in the last few years on like more local issues. Especially national Canada used to be like boring. Seems a lot more kind of exciting at the moment. Not necessarily in a good way.
No.
But that's where my focus is.
You don't want to get excited
and then
about
you think
city, Calgary city elections.
Globalism stuff. I don't know. I think the next one might be interesting, but
no.
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
Why?
Because I know some people.
No, shut the fuck. Okay. So hypothetical people.
No, I know some people.
No, hypothetically, these people. What about them?
There's let's say a shadowy group.
Oh,
that's preparing a slate of candidates.
A cabal
to try and take out city council.
There's no one, dude.
It's real. These are these are political agents, basically.
You will never dethrone Sean Chu. He is my man.
No, they're not going after him.
I will fight till the death.
That's one of the guys they would want to keep Farkas and Chu.
Farkas is fucking.
They're all shitheads.
No, the ones that basically they used to have assigned seating. They like every session, like they're assigned seats because none of them can sit next to each other. Like you can't have Nenshi anywhere near Chu or Farkas.
Yeah.
And
basically they've just got some people who occasionally will vote to cut something, and some people that will never vote to cut anything. So there's some people who I'm aware of who are trying to prepare to go after some of the less or the more terrible city councilors.
So we got Nenshi.
They're all horrible.
Ward Sutherland. Maglioka. Isn't he the one that they're going to try and they all voted to fucking audit?
Yes.
Gondek.
And they voted against auditing the whole council.
Thank fucking God, dude. What a waste of money.
I think it would have been hilarious. But people...
Dude, the city's fucked, man. They don't even have the money to pay for an audit.
No, I know, but...
There's a spending freeze.
It's personally, I get some enjoyment when there's a little bit of embarrassment, and sometimes that comes out of expense examinations.
There's my boy Sean Chu.
But
Chahal.
At the same time, I almost hate, especially, sometimes conservative or right-wing guys get really obsessed with the whole look at all the coffee expenses and stuff, and it's so small in the grand scheme of things, and they're nitpicking at the edges, and sometimes they just don't go after the core issues that much.
Okay, Chahal, Davidson, Drew Farrell,
Some of these guys don't make a lot of headlines.
Kara, Jones, Farkas.
Woolley probably wants to run for mayor next time. That's my assumption.
I don't know about that fucking guy.
I can't stand him, but
what about Kara's hair? What do you think about what the fuck is going on there?
What? Who?
Kara's like Giancarlo Kara.
I don't know. He's just got a weird like
something's up.
Toupee or something.
Is it? I don't know.
Position.
Little spooky. Ray Jones likes to sell insurance. He's got something going on there.
Yeah, no, none of these people are any good.
Keating, I don't know. He looks like you could have a beer with him.
No, they're all just plundering the city.
Isn't she the next most outspoken, Cully Urquhart?
She's one of the more outspoken ones, but she's basically horrible on everything she speaks about.
I don't know shit about on deck. I hear Drew Farrell's name mentioned all the time.
Yeah, she's horrible. Yeah. And she was sued at one point for, she was accused, if I'm not mistaken, of like using her power to influence some kind of property deal or something. Jesus. I think it got tossed out or didn't go very far in any case. But
what do you think about the Nenshi Legal Defense Fund? Did you contribute?
Just despicable.
Did you contribute?
No.
No? Did you like you don't own a Mazda dealership? You didn't contribute the maximum of $10,000?
No, unbelievable.
Non-write-offable?
What a despicable person.
You didn't get a kickback from Nenshi in the form of a free grant?
No.
No? Like his buddy?
I didn't get anything. Or what about his pals at the architectural firm?